Hello again, everybody. This is Steve Kallas. Speaking of sports, we're at westchestercountypost.com. I encourage you to go there and click on sports articles, sports videos. There's a lot of other good things at the website, so please go there and check it out. Today we're going to talk about last Saturday's $1 million trot race, the International Trot at Yonkers Raceway, brought to you by MGM Resorts. Fascinating race, 10 horses from 9 different countries. An annual affair the last 5 years at Yonkers, where they've given out a lot of money and invited the best trotters from all over the world. This year the winner was Zacon Gio from Italy. Interesting, he was 8-1 in the morning line at Yonkers. The morning line didn't quite work out the way it was. It's fascinating from a betting perspective because the pools, the betting in Europe and the betting in the United States, win and show, they have no place betting in Europe. Win and show were pooled together, and when the race actually went off, Zacon Gio was the big favorite, going off at 6-5 and won quite easily. Atlanta, who was the morning line favorite, Atlanta from the United States, who won last year's Hamiltonian as a 3-year-old filly, a great accomplishment. She was the morning line favorite in the International. Hard for a 4-year-old mare like her to beat the boys. But she was the morning line favorite. She went off the second choice. She cut the fractions with Yannick Gingras, arguably the best driver in the world, or certainly one of the top 3 or 4. And she got very cheap fractions, very slow fractions. 28-1 to the quarter, 59 to the half, 128 to the 3/4. Now the International is 1.25 miles, so she has to go 1/4 mile more than she would normally go. But one would think with those slow fractions that she would have a good chance to win. But Atlanta had some internal health problems. You really couldn't tell during the race. They found out, of course, in the paddock after the race. That caused her to stop badly. She actually finished 7th by 14 lengths. Right after the race, when they asked Yannick Gingras, the driver, a few questions, all he said was she just wasn't quite herself. And of course, these are the kind of internal things that happen in horses sometimes, and it just frankly came at a bad time for her. She's had some issues in the past with that kind of stuff, but again, with the slow fractions that she had, I think she would have had a really good chance to win if she was 100% healthy for the entirety of the race. Now, Zacon Gio was driven by Robert Vecchione from Italy, the trainer Holger Ehlert. They were both very confident. They were not surprised at all. Again, she took all the money coming in from Europe and was the big favorite despite being 8-1 in the morning line. Slide So Easy with Aki Svanstedt was second. He's a horse from Denmark. He sat the pocket and got out to finish second. There was another Zacon Gio won by 3 1/4 lengths, and it was that easy. He had that lead the length of the stretch. By the way, he had won 11 in a row coming in, so maybe if you just looked at the program, you could have figured that out. But clearly the people in Europe knew what was going on with this horse. After the 3 1/4 length Slide So Easy, then it was another 1 3/4 to Marion Marauder, winner of over $3 million from Canada, with Scott Zeron in the bike. So it was a very exciting race, surprising the way Atlanta finished, but explained after the race later. Nobody knew about it during the race, obviously, and that was just kind of bad luck. Zacon Gio worked out a perfect second over trip, which is kind of the place you want to be in one of these 1 1/4 races, with cover from Uza Jocelyn, who was out the whole mile and finished back. The other 2 horses I wanted to mention, Cruzado della Noche, who many of you know won the International last year at 30-1. Had the 7-hole this year, which is a bad spot on the outside. Went off at 32-1 again this year, but really couldn't get close to the action. And Lionel, who had the 8-hole and finished second last year. Last year, Lionel was unbelievable, out the whole 1 1/4 with no cover, and just got beat, maybe a head by Cruzado della Noche. He had the 8-hole. He never got close and wound up making a break in the final 1/4 of a mile. So the 1-2 finishers from last year didn't do well at all. In the winner's circle, as you might expect, it was utter joy. The trainer wants to bring this horse back to the International next year. The driver was happy out of his mind. But again, they weren't surprised. They were very confident. In fact, the driver said we were going so slow early that I wasn't worried, but my horse was getting angry because he really wanted to go. And eventually, when he let him go, of course, he really looped the field. If you watch the replay on YouTube, he looped the field and he won for fun. It was never in doubt from around the last turn all the way to the finish line. So the International Trot is a great event, $1 million trot race every year. It was a beautiful day, and I'll sign off by saying I can only hope this continues for years to come, because it is something that not only joins the harness racing community in Yonkers, Westchester County, New York, the Northeast, but really the whole world, because there were lots of betting in lots of countries in Europe, and this is the one kind of event we need to really promote harness racing locally in Westchester County and worldwide, frankly. So I hope it continues for many years to come. This is Steve Kallas speaking of sports. We'll see you the next time.